going to get started. Hello, folks. Hey. So, welcome to this week's tarot stream. And this week, so last week I talked about some of the tools in my divination toolkit, right? And as always, please let me know if the balance between the background music and my voice is at a good level. Always happy for that kind of feedback. But yeah, so last week I talked about some of the things that are in my divination toolkit, the different forms of divination I use, talked about why tarot is my favorite and what I find the most useful to use with other people. Hi, Matricula! Yay! Welcome, Raiders! Hello! Yay! Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Crafty. Welcome, Oh My Apple Pie. Welcome, J40. Hi. So, I'm just getting started. Hey, Maris Polaris. I so enjoyed what I caught of your stream earlier today. I so enjoyed your Florence and the Machine and your Regina Spektor, and yes. Hey, Dom Dude! Yay! It's a party! So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I was just saying that my plan for this week, yeah, thank you, Matricula. Please shout people out. Just saying, my plan for this week is to talk a little bit about what, not really tips and tricks, but my process for when I need to read for myself, right? Because there are particular challenges with reading for yourself rather than reading for a friend. When I say reading, I mean reading tarot cards. Or doing any other kind of divination, really. All right. So, but before I head into that, if anyone out there would like, is just eager for a reading tonight, I'm also happy to do that. Just please drop it in the chat, and I will be happy to give you a reading on stream. But, so, we don't always, most of us, Cacophony, hello, 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 welcome, yay, it's a party, yay. So most of us don't have access to someone else to read our cards, to have reliable access to a tarot reader all the time. So it's really good for us to be able to read for ourselves, right? If we've got something going on in our lives, if we've got questions or concerns, it's good for us to be able to pick up the cards and get something useful out of it. Even if, for my preferences, if I'm dealing with something important, I'd rather someone else read for me. But it's important for me to be able to do that for myself. So, and again, if anyone wants a reading tonight, just say so in the chat. It's probably a first come, first serve. Crafty, that's a great question. So Crafty just asked why I would rather have someone else read for me. So it's Bezin! Oh my goodness. Hi. Y'all, Bezin is one of my in real life friends here, and it's amazing to see them here. Yay! So, right, not getting distracted. Why would you rather have someone else do a reading for you than do a reading for yourself? So for me, if I'm dealing with a big, important issue in my life, if I'm dealing with a large question that I want clarity on, there's inevitably a lot of anxieties, maybe some fears, probably some hopes, maybe some excitement. There's probably quite a lot riding on that question, right? And if I do a reading for myself, one of the pitfalls of reading for yourself is that you have to kind of swim through all of that, all of those anxieties, all of those hopes and fears, all of your stuff. It's the same reason, in a different context, that I don't just try and sort through all my problems myself, but I have a therapist, right? Because my therapist doesn't have all my bullshit to deal with and can come at whatever I'm bringing to them from a much more objective view, and can help me see things a little more objectively. So when I get someone else to read cards for me, when I get someone else to do a reading for me, they don't have all my bullshit to get through first. They hear my situation, but they're going to be able to look at the cards without my stuff influencing what they see. Now, they may have their own stuff that influences what they see and what they are able to tell me. Like, I have to watch out for that when I'm doing readings for other people. I did a reading the other day that touched on a subject that I have a lot of fear around. And for the person I was reading for, this would be an amazing occurrence. It would be a wonderful thing in their lives. And I had to work really hard to read what was there, what's there in the cards, not let the reading be influenced by, wow, this is scary, I can't believe this person wants this. So, but still, that's easier, at least to some degree, when you're not the person in the middle of all this stuff. However, that said, like I said, sometimes you don't have access to anyone else. Sometimes your need is immediate and you can't wait. So it's helpful to know how to use tarot for yourself. So, beginning at the beginning, before you sit down to read, if you already have a tarot deck, if you already use it some, you may already have a process set up or something you do to help get you in a good headspace to read tarot, to do a reading. And that's different for everyone. Maybe you light a candle. Maybe you sit and meditate for a few minutes. Maybe you sing a song. Maybe you burn some sage. I don't know. Whatever works for you. But what I do, because this is an integral part of my spiritual practice, is I pour some wine, because that's what my gods like. And I take a minute and I pray, because when I'm doing this for other people, it's part of the service that I give to my gods. And when I do this for myself, that's still something that I turn to them to help me with. So, yes, please do, Dom Dude. And hi, don't put me on pizza. So, just a minute. I'm gonna do my thing and I'll be right back with you. So I say my prayers. Yes, don't put me on pizza. This is from our very own Lizard Eats Flies, or Elizabeth Lane. So I say my prayers over my God wine, and then wrap the rosary I made. Prayer beads. Rosary is a specific thing, but prayer beads around it. And that centers me, that gets me ready. I usually, for my tarot streams, I usually do this off screen before I start anything. But today, since we're talking about process and ways to make reading for yourself more accessible and hopefully more effective, I wanted to show that. So, you've done whatever you're going to do to bring yourself into the moment, quiet yourself, get yourself ready. So today, I decided that since I'm reading for myself, I wanted... Thank you, Crafty. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's important to show... I feel like it's important to both acknowledge and show at least my part of how this doesn't have to look one way. And obviously not everyone's divination practice is tied up so hard in the rest of their religion and the rest of their spirituality, but it is for me. And I feel like it's important to acknowledge that that can be a thing. So since I'm reading for myself today and kind of demonstrating that for y'all, demonstrating my process for y'all, I'm going to be using a new to me spread because yay, fun, experimenting. Yes, new to me spread, and looking at so I've been doing, and some of you know this, oh well, Bezin, if you would like a reading, I am more than happy to give you one. Although, Bezin, if you're available, I might do a quick reading for myself just to demonstrate process, and then read for you if that sounds okay. But I'll do a compact one for myself. So I'm shuffling, right? I'm thinking about what I want to explore tonight. And don't put me on pizza, this is the Numinous Tarot deck, which is my personal favorite right now. Okay. So this is a new spread for me, like I said. And it's a relationship spread, but so it's made to be done if there are two people present who want to kind of look at the relationship between themselves, which is something I get asked more often than I would have thought when I read out at clubs. Personally, I'm not sure I would want a spread like that with someone that I just started dating, or, you know, wasn't married to, or even maybe was married to. I'm not, but whatever. They get to roll on with their lives. But this is a spread designed to look at that. but I'm going to use it in the sense of looking at myself and my tarot work. And yeah, don't put me on pizza. I do weddings and other kinds of ritual work as the opportunity presents itself. So this is me. This is going to be me in my side of the relationship. What I bring, what I need, maybe. But this is me. This is my side. And then this is the tarot work itself. So what the work needs, what the work brings. And then this is the relationship. My relationship to the work's relationship to me. And then a word of advice. So we'll flip it over and see what we got. So one of my protocol, no, don't do this. This is a relationship spread about the relationship between two people or two things or two stuffs. One of my reading protocol things is that if all of them or more than half of my cards are reversed, like this, I assume that I got the cards turned around wrong and flip them over. So, well, so so this spread is from the Little Red Tarot website, which I really love. The way that the folks there tend to organize and talk about their spreads is really effective for me. So when I'm reading for myself, I kind of give a spread 3 glances or 3 overviews. On first glance, I just look at what I'm seeing. I'm not looking for deep meaning yet. I'm not looking for what's the upshot, what's the advice here. I'm looking for big themes, right? So just naming what I see. So for instance, here I see that 3/4 of my cards are minor arcana. I see also that I've got 1 tome or pentacle, 1 vial or cup, 1 candle or wand card. So it's not like my reading is dominated by any particular suit or by the major arcana. I don't have duplicate numbers, which is something I'd look for as well. Or like a lot of court cards. So I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land, right? I also notice immediately that my 1 major arcana is over here. So if the spread is kind of a scale, a set of scales, the energy is weighted to that side, right? Because this is a pretty heavy card. So that's first glance. What's in front of me, just naming things as objective as possible. Second pass is working through the spread. Working through card by card. Sometimes it helps me to pretend that I'm talking to someone else while I'm doing this for myself. Sometimes this is the point where I start taking notes, either on paper or on my laptop. But so working through card by card. So starting here with the Ace of Tomes. So this is where I am. And yeah, okay. One of the big issues with me in relation to my tarot work right now is how do I feed this in a practical way? How do I feed this and grow this in a practical way? But I'm skipping ahead of myself. The Ace of Tomes, in regards to me, says that where I am in this has a lot to do with physical resources, maybe a lot to do with how do I organize my time? How do I best use my resources in this relationship? I'm starting a new practical effort. So how do I go about that? Where's my energy for something practical here? So, okay. Then the work itself, right? And let's see if we can get y'all a better view here. There we go. This is the Death card in this deck, and it's my one major arcana card here. So that tells me that the work itself is a transformative thing. Maybe that the work itself wants to transform how it looks. Right, Dom Dude? Right. Yes. That death, though. Those flowers. That pentacle. So maybe it wants transformation. Maybe that's what it needs to flourish. This is not the first time that the Death card has showed up in regards to my efforts as a tarot reader. And I'm still not sure what it means. Sorry, be patient with me. What exactly it's talking about. But it reemphasizes this is big. This is going to require something about you, something in you, something about how you do this to change. So the relationship itself the Mystic of Vials, which in any other deck would be the King of Cups. And so this says to me, that right now the relationship is about, the approach to the relationship is about asking, why are we doing what we do? We know we're doing it out of love, but we're getting clear on our motivations. We're getting clear on our, by we I mean me / the work. I'm getting clear on motivations, getting clear on how this relationship works. What am I willing to give? Where are my boundaries around this work? Which, okay, yes, thank you. Spot on. And then the advice is the Two of Candles. And in any other deck, Two of Wands. And that's about the balance that comes about by exerting control, right? The balance that we can bring about by exerting our willpower. Not by going with the flow, not by trying to juggle and balance, but by exerting will. So that's kind of the second pass, right? Go through the cards, remind myself of what they mean, talk to myself a little bit about what each of them mean. Not abstractly, but about what they mean in their positions. And then the third pass is synthesis. So we've talked, so to speak, about all the elements of the plot. And here's where I go back and I try to tell a cohesive story through it, right? So normally, this is where if I haven't started taking notes yet, I will start taking notes. Not doing it this time because I'm on camera and I can just go back and watch. Yay! But if you're reading for yourself, I strongly advise you to at least take a picture, take notes, maybe both. I'll show you a little bit about how I take notes in just a second. But so the story here, to me, after looking at the cards, says, my concerns, my worries, my largest worries right now are practical. I'm worried about the logistics. I have a lot of hopes about how this could feed me in a practical way in the future. And a lot of questions about how that could happen. So there's a lot of weight riding on the practical part of it for me. By contrast, the work itself has desires and ideas about that it wants to look different than it is. It wants to be something different. And so our conversation right now is about how do we balance that. And that may not be an easy or organic process. We may need to use the insights we come to here about why we're doing this, why this is happening, what we're willing to give, what I'm willing to give to this work, where my boundaries are around it, to put forth some pretty firm actions. So I try to tie it all together. I try to kind of pull a thread of story through it. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, Dom Dude. I'm glad it was helpful. So again, kind of three passes on any reading I do for myself. And that way, moving from trying to be super objective to allowing myself to get at the story that's there helps me, at least a little, avoid getting tangled up in all of my anxieties, all of my fears and hopes, and only reading what I want or fear most onto the cards. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for folks who are working on reading for themselves. If anyone has, oh, right, I did. No, well, Bezin, that's the truth of it, right? The fears and the wants all at the same time. Yeah. And Bezin, be thinking of your question and feel free to drop it in the chat when you're ready. But before we switch into your reading, I did want to kind of show folks how so this is a Google Doc where I took notes about a previous reading. It was years ago. But one of the things I do when I'm taking written notes about a reading is I'll write out, kind of in shorthand, what the cards were and kind of arranged them approximately as they were arranged. Now, I started this in the days before I had a smartphone, before I had a camera readily at hand, and I could probably just as easily just take a picture and upload it now. But I kind of like having it written out. Simple text doc. It works for me. And I use a lot of abbreviations, so 5W is 5 of Wands, 4W is 4 of Wands, 5C is 5 of Cups. And like I was talking about on the first pass initially, here, because this is a large reading. It was about a big thing, but it's a large reading. You can see more trends. Good question. Don't put me on pizza. Don't put me on pizza is asking about this little note here at the bottom that my clarifiers were the Princess of Wands, the Prince of Wands, and the Three of Wands. So do you see the asterisk by the Ten of Swords? If you're familiar with tarot, you probably know that the Ten of Swords is kind of the rock bottom card. It's a really harsh and painful card, and I was gonna see if I could find it real quick. Oh, there we go. So, real quick. So this is the equivalent to the Ten of Swords in my deck. And it always talks about wounds, it talks about pain in a very visceral way that the Death card doesn't. People think that the Death card is the scary card, but no, the Ten of Swords is the fuck you up card. Hi, Click. Oh, whoops. Wrong one. There we go. Hey, yeah. So, thank you for that shout out, Matricula. Awesome. So when the Ten of Swords showed up in this reading, I got really nervous. And, well, so the 3 is about betrayal and heartbreak, right? The 10 is about kind of everything slamming you down. So the 10, when I saw the Ten of Swords in this reading, I got pretty nervous. And I wanted some clarification on it. So after the rest of the reading, I drew these 3 cards for clarity about what this particular card meant in this particular reading. And yeah, Matricula, none of it's set in stone. It's talking about circumstances as they currently are and what's likely based on current circumstances and me and how I am and how I act and all of that. But that's what clarifiers are in this situation. Cards that I pulled for more insight on a particular part of the reading, which can be a helpful thing. I don't usually do it when reading for other people because so often, right now at least, reading for other people is in a time-limited environment. Yeah, Dom Dude. And again, Bezin, feel free to drop your question in the chat if you are ready. But yeah, what's up, Dom Dude? Ooh. I'm gonna just shuffle my cards here. Clear off the space before we read for Bezin. So yeah, if you wanna, okay. connected to the cards and can understand what they're telling you, but you have a hard time implementing. Okay, so I get the hard time implementing because it's plenty easy in a lot of circumstances. It's much easier to hear advice than it is to act on advice. And like, no shade, I get that. I get that. And I think that honestly, I think that's part of being human. I don't act on all the advice that I get from my cards either, Dom Dude, even when I really should. Right? So please don't be too hard on yourself about that. You know, and I'll have moments when I'm reading for other people where I'm reading and I'm like, I hate that I'm saying this because I'm guilty of it too, but this is what the cards are saying. So do as I say and not as I do. So, you're not alone in that. First off, and I don't have a magic bullet. I don't have a magic trick or anything to make that better or to make it go away. I'm not sure that I get the difference for you between understanding and interpreting. For me, with regard to the cards, I'm not sure that I would classify those as different things. But yeah, it is easier to just pull the cards rather than actually make an effort. Yeah. Okay. Bezin. Question/context. So your next professional/educational chapters. Hurry up and push right now for the plan in mind, or keep germinating. Okay. Hi R. R's matriculous spouse. Okay. Now, Bezin, are those are the kind of two paths here? And I ask because there's a two paths type spread that I've been wanting to try and I haven't had a chance to. Okay. All right. Give me a sec. Gonna remember where this is. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So this, like I said, this is a spread I've been wanting to try, and it's a spread for decision making. That wish I could here. So that's not really a good. I was going to show you what the spread looks like because that's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll just do it. Bezen, are you good with the Numinous Tarot deck, or would you prefer one with creepy critters or from Papa Crowley psychedelic type imagery? If you have a preference on that. So the one I used was the Numinous deck, and personally I would roll with that for you, but okay, well, we'll just roll with the Numinous deck unless you really want something creepy tonight. All right. So, I'm gonna give the cards another good couple of shuffles, thinking about Bezen and their question. Okay. So, hi Goober Noobs. Hello, welcome. We're about to do a tarot reading for a good friend of mine. And I'm Joy. So, Bezen, this is you right now, where you are right now. These two cards are going to be what the underlying the current plan option. So talking about what's going on with that, what the energy is, what the pros are, and possibly cons are of the keeping on with your current plan. These are going to be the same thing for the other option. So hurry up and push through, or keep germinating. Plan 1, plan 2. And then this is some summing up and advice, okay, on the thing as a whole. And you're welcome to take notes as we go, Bezen, but this video will be up for review afterward, so you can also watch it at your leisure. So we're going to turn this over, and we're going to see what we got. All right, so in line with kind of the three looks model that we talked about a little bit earlier, just looking at what we've got. I notice right off there are no major arcana cards here, which there's a lot going on, but it tells me that whatever you do, it's just going to be life. It's probably not going to be career making or career destroying, world shaking on a fundamental level. Okay, lots of stuff here, but not huge archetypal stuff. Also, we have 7 cards here, right? And 3 of those are candles or wands, which tells me that a lot of this centers your willpower, your desires, your passion, your capacity for transformation. Okay. The other thing I'm noticing is that 3 of these are also court cards, and 2 of them, the 2 down here, are creators. In any other deck, these would be queens, but this deck was created by a non-binary person, and they really did a beautiful job of breaking down the binaries that are kind of inherent in most tarot structures. So that tells me that that kind of creator energy, interpersonal working energy, is going to be important. So, overview. Themes, patterns, what I'm seeing. Working through it. You right now, the 9 of Bells. In any other deck, the 9 of Swords. And this is about our brains being jerks, right? It's about the anxieties, it's about the second guessing, it's about the what ifs, it's about all the things that may not have physical reality, right? Right. So this is saying that this is where you're spending a lot of time right now around this issue. That there are a lot of voices, a lot of probably circling thought patterns around this issue. And that's not a fun place to be, right? So, starting point. The first option, which was to keep pushing with your current plan, we've got the Ace of Tomes, so the Ace of Discs, and the Dreamer. In any other deck would be the Page of Candles. And I'll just go ahead and say that these 2 together say to me, okay, yeah. Summarizing is for later. Working through. So the Ace of Tomes, the kind of undiluted energy of earthy stuff, of material stuff, talking about the resources that you have to work with, the logistics of this plan. And what it's saying here on this side is that this plan is heavy on your resources. Takes quite a lot of them, requires quite a lot of them. May require a lot of your time and logistics. But it also feels like with the labyrinth here, with the crystals, in this position, it feels like the beginnings of something rich, too. Not necessarily raking in the big bucks kind of rich, but it feels like the labyrinth feels really important here. It feels like this is talking about the practical parts that you need to walk this particular twisty path. And the Dreamer of Candles, the Page of Candles, whose focus is on what do I want? What change do I want to effect? Out of all these beautiful lights, and ooh, aren't they also shiny? Which one is going to get my focus? So, on pushing ahead, this side feels like there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity for growth, for development, but that it's new, and that either or, well, maybe either both, you may need to, it may be beneficial for you to spend some time thinking and getting very, very clear on what is it I want in this, which particular aspect or aspects of this really fire me up, and or spend some time widening your focus and letting yourself play with how many pretties there are in this situation, how many shiny and attractive things. So giving yourself time to look around, time to explore the pretties a little bit before you narrow your focus. But engaging in that with the knowledge that you will need to. You will need to narrow your focus. You will need to bring it in eventually. So that's the keep pushing forward side. On the keep germinating, chill out, take your time side, the first card we have is the Three of Candles reversed, which, just so we can get a better idea of what this looks like. This upright, it's 3 beacons on 3 hills, right? So lights in the darkness, lights that help you see the big picture, that help you know what's out there, where other people are, what's happening on what schedule. It's reversed for you. So this says to me that staying and germinating isn't going to help you, or may result in a closing off, in less of an ability to see the bigger picture, to see what's going on. Or that may be part of what's leading you. What pulls you toward that side is the uncertainty, the inability to see how the ships are moving and what's coming to port. Which fits nicely with our other card over there, which is the Nine of Candles, which talks about being wary. Often about being justifiably wary, because the shadows are long, the floor may not be secure, it may be hard to navigate this. But here, especially in conversation with the Three of Candles reversed, it feels like, this side feels like we're going to keep germinating because everything isn't certain. We're going to keep germinating because it might be scary to step out, because we don't know for sure which one of these we really want yet, and we can't step out till we're sure. So that's kind of the energy of things surrounding both of these options. The advice cards are both reversed creators, so reversed queens, and the undercard, which I would take as the basis of the advice, and the top card as comment on it, and just so we can see it ourselves. It's the Creator of Tomes, or the Queen of Discs. Now, upright, I would say that the Creator of Tomes talks about figuring out or using the people resources that you have to access the practical resources you need to access these resources we talked about up here. Because this is reversed, I wonder if this feels like advice to maybe not put all your eggs in the established systems basket. Because it's advice and not warning, it feels like it's saying that it's going to be important for you not to necessarily trust or take at face value the resources offered, and be really aware and proactive on your own behalf. That the practical aspects of this may be annoying and difficult for you. And then commenting on that. Commenting is the Creator of Bells, so the Queen of Swords, reversed. And upright, I would say that she'd be counseling, or that this card would be counseling to make sure and run your ideas by people you trust. Make sure and draw on other people's ideas and thoughts as you develop your own. And, listen to the other bells and voices coming in. But I don't think that's the case here, since she's reversed. I'm not sure that other voices will help you. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that looking for other people's ideas on this is going to be the most helpful thing. So essentially, where creators usually, there is a lot going on, Crafty. There's a lot going on, and my thanks to Besim for letting me play with a new spread. New to me spread. I like it. This is bigger than I would use. It's bigger. Bigger than I would use in most contexts. But Besim, the two creators down here, are normally reaching out to people types who can help me, who has the resources I need, who do I need to work with on this. And it feels to me like you have to trust your own authority on this. And you may have to trust largely in your own resources on this. That said, this side feels more promising, more full of life and possibility than this side. Which is not to say that the concerns of this side are totally unwarranted, but to me, this side has a greater pull to it. So, any questions, clarification points, smart remarks? Oh, it was so good to see you, Dom Dude. Thank you for stopping by. Yay. Yeah, and like I said, this, Besim, this video will be up on my Twitch channel later if you want to review it, and if you have, if you have questions that you don't feel like putting up in the chat, you know where to find me. And you can find me offline as well, and I'm more than happy to talk about this later as well. But yeah, thank you for letting me delve into this. And can I take the cards up? Is that all right? And I know someone else was asking for a reading. Goober Noobs. If you still want one, I could probably do a shorter and more compact one. Because we're getting towards the length of time I usually stream. But yeah, if that's great. That's great. So if you want to put your question up in the chat, I will pull these cards down and shuffle the deck. Yeah. And I've been largely on task, but I hope everyone is having a great night out there tonight. And I'm so glad. I appreciate all of you being here, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to be here while I experiment with new spreads and explore different options. Thank you, Crafty. I always appreciate your support. And it's a real pleasure to be getting to do this, especially with folks who are willing to be responsive and engage. So Goober, what can we look out for you tonight? What is going on in your life that you would like some insight on? Thank you, Matricula. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. Okay. So, Goober, recently hit a dead end in something you're working on. How can you get past this? Okay. All right. Cool. We can do that. Goober, is it okay if I use the same deck I used for the other two spreads? I have a couple of other decks here if that one really didn't resonate with you. But, okay, cool. I will go ahead and shuffle them cards. All right. So, and Goober, whenever you can, could you just tell me if you're familiar at all with tarot, just so I kind of know going in. And regardless, you can ask questions as we go, as well. Crafty, I'm gonna use a spread about it's called the Sustainable Resourcing Spread. This one is also from Little Red Tarot because I just love them. But it's about how we can best use our resources for either in general or, as in this case, for a particular goal. So, Goober, I'm going to explain the positions as I lay them down, and then we'll go over them. So, this is the climate, or the weather, kind of what's up with your energy in this situation right now. Okay. So where you are with your problem, with your issue. This is going to be the bit of advice or reminder that you most need right now. This is a resource you can draw on, possibly something that you had not thought of before. And then this is your practical action. So that the practical, hands-on thing you can do moving forward. Okay? And all of this is related to how can you get past that block? How can you deal with that obstacle? So we'll flip it over and see what we got. Okay, so first off, 2 out of 4 of your cards are Major Arcana cards. So half your cards in this very small, compact reading are Major Arcana cards. And what that tells me right from the start is that this is a big deal for you. However big it feels, however frustrating it feels, that's valid. That's a thing. Yeah. So, just gonna lay that right out there to begin with. Starting with where you are right now. This is the Strength card. I love this card in this deck. So it's talking about the force of strength that can sometimes manifest as violence, that can sometimes manifest as destruction, that's within all of us. And if we're very self-aware, if we know how we work as individuals, then we can harness that and it can be a really healthy thing. But if we're not self-aware, if we don't know how we work, then it's awfully easy for this aspect of our internal landscape, for this aspect of our power, to become destructive, to become unhealthy. And the fact that this is describing the climate indicates to me that maybe you're wrestling with that right now. What kind of power is good power? How do I function? What methods are okay for me? How can I use what's within myself in a healthy and productive way? So starting from there, starting from these kind of big questions about what do I have and how do I use it? Moving to your reminder or your advice. So we saw this card in the last reading too, right? The Three of Candles. It was reversed there too. And what this says to me here in this context as an advice or reminder card is that it's okay if you don't see the big picture. It's okay if you don't see 10 steps ahead all the time. So maybe it's okay. It's okay to be frustrated with that, right? It is. But it's also okay not to know exactly how everything's going to work out at this particular point in time. It's okay not to have a grasp on all of the logistics, on all of the solutions to the problem, on the candles are like wands. Yes. So this would be the Three of Wands reversed, which upright, right, is about seeing the big picture, seeing how all the pieces fit together, seeing who's where, who's on the schedule, how that's working. And maybe it's okay not to know all that right now. Maybe now's not the time to be looking at all the big picture stuff, or trying to see all the logistics fit together perfectly. So your resource, the thing you can draw on here in working with this obstacle, the Explorer of Vials. In any other deck, this would be the Knight of Cups. And one of the things I love about this deck is the author of the deck talks about the kinds of questions that the court cards like this ask. And explorers or knights in this deck ask how questions. They're cards of action, right? An action-oriented approach, going after something. So the resource you can draw on is asking yourself, listening to yourself on, how do I feed my heart? How do I get what my heart needs? How do I fulfill my emotional needs? I don't know what kind of obstacle you're working with, but it can be tempting to focus on the logistics, on the practical parts, on the details. And what this urges you to do is remember and maybe shift your focus to taking care of yourself, who you are and what you need in this moment. Really listening to, because taking care of your heart involves things like listening to your fears. It involves things like listening to your hopes, like listening to all the voices in your head that are particularly upset about this obstacle because what if? We just want to protect you, and what if this doesn't work? So maybe taking a step back from looking at the practical aspects and focusing on, what am I really worried about? And how can I take care of myself in that? What do I really want? And how can I take care of myself in that? How can I give myself what I need here? Because the practical step, that death, yo. But this time, death is reversed for you. Which says to me that your work is to not push this. Because upright, right? Death talks about an organic cycle of transformation, something that ends so something else can begin, a big shift, a big turnover or change in how something happens or how something looks or feels. Death reversed indicates a stall or frustration in that process. And you can't rush. You can't rush these kinds of processes. So your work with this obstacle in particular is to sit with it, not force it. Okay? That's not going to be helpful. Sit with it and don't force it, but focus on taking care of yourself in the midst of it. Right? Which is not necessarily, I'm sure, what you wanted to hear. But it looks like this isn't ready to move. Yeah. Any questions or clarifications on this? Absolutely. I'm glad to do it. Thank you for letting me read for you. Thank you for asking and for your patience. Oh. And like I told Bezin, the video will be up so you can get another look at this. It'll be up on my channel shortly after we close out here tonight. So you can get a look at it and remind yourself, take some notes at your leisure. Any other questions, concerns? If not, let's see. So because I have people, I've thoroughly enjoyed having all of you wonderful folks. No, that wasn't where I wanted to go. There we are. I thoroughly enjoyed having all of you wonderful folks in the stream tonight and enjoyed meeting new people. And it's wonderful. Thank you for being here. If you want to find me elsewhere online, you can find, I have a Facebook page for this kind of work. I have a website for this kind of work that I do, and you're welcome to find me either of those places, as well as on here. I mean, you can whisper me on here if you have other questions. I do tarot readings with a similar setup to this through Google Hangouts right now, or if you're local to me, we can meet up. But do I have things scheduled for next week? I don't know. I don't know when I'm streaming for next week. I'll put that up soon. But I do try and do one tarot stream a week, and one, it was a kind of travelogue storytelling stream. Now it's going to be a little bit more of a linear focus on one story stream, and I'm going to try and keep those at one a week. My schedule's been a little bit wonky. I don't have a steady schedule yet, but I try to post it by Sunday on my channel. So I would love to see y'all back here for one or both of those. And thank you for being here. Let's see, is there anyone we can go raid, since we actually have people? Let's see. Let's go. So first off, there's my raid call because I do not have the I do not have unique emotes. But let's go raid couple streams. So it looks like they're on playing some music, doing some singing. So we'll do that. I hope you come along with me. Thank y'all for being here. Hi Twitch Mom Kira, thank you for being here and thank you for the host. I saw it and I get distracted. I'm bad about acknowledging, but thank you. Thank you, Crafty. Thank you, Goober. Thank you, Bezin, for letting me read for you. Thank you, Matricula, for being here. Just thank you all. You're all wonderful. Have a good night, and I will see you at the raid.